So we all know AI is getting smarter, but lately it's also getting creative, right? It can write poems, it can summarize articles, it can even whip up images out of thin air. And that brings up a really fascinating new question. If AI is turning into a creative genius, how in the world do we grade its work? To figure that out, we first need to understand exactly what kind of student we're dealing with here. To get our heads around this, you gotta understand this one fundamental shift. For years, AI has basically been a detective, a predictive model that sifts through a mountain of clues, all that existing data, to solve a case or make a forecast. Think about your email spam filter. But now, we've got this new kid on the block, generative AI. And this AI is way more like an artist. It doesn't just predict what's already there, it creates something brand new, from scratch. And at the very head of this creative class is a star student we really need to.
So let's zoom in on the real star of the show here, the large language model, or what we all call an LLM. These are the powerhouse engines behind the tools we're all hearing about, from ChatGPT to Google's Gemini. But here's the thing, an LLM isn't just a single brain sitting in a jar. Oh no, it's way more complex than that.
You should think of an LLM less like a single brain and more like a whole orchestra, or maybe a complex ecosystem. At the very heart of it, you have the pre-trained model. That's the brain. But it's supported by this whole cast of characters. It pulls from huge data sources, which are like its personal library. It follows very specific instructions. We call those prompt templates. It can even use tools, like a calculator or search the internet. And all the while, it has safety guardrails keeping it on the straight and narrow. So, you see, grading an LLM isn't about checking just one part, it's about seeing how that entire symphony plays together. And that complexity brings us right to the grading dilemma. I mean, evaluating a creative, open-ended system like an LLM, it's a whole different universe from just checking answers on a multiple-choice test. It comes with a really unique and, let's be honest, very difficult set of challenges.
Let's just frame the first problem with a question that every teacher absolutely dreads asking. What if the student cheated? Because in the world of AI, that is a very real and actually a very subtle possibility.
The technical term for this is data contamination. Think about it. An LLM is trained on just unimaginable amounts of data from the internet. So it's entirely possible that your test questions were already floating around in its training library. When it spits out the perfect answer, is it actually being smart, or did it just memorize the answer key beforehand? This one issue can make your entire evaluation completely unreliable.
And then there's the next big headache. When you ask an AI for something creative, say a poem about a sunset or a new marketing slogan, what is the right answer? How do you put a grade on something that's just, well, totally subjective?
And yeah, the list of grading headaches just keeps on going. You've got that pure subjectivity problem where one person's masterpiece is another person's meh. Then there's bias. The model can accidentally learn and even amplify unfair biases from its training data. It might ace a test in a perfect, controlled lab environment, but then completely fall apart in the messy real world. And to top it all off, these models can be tricked by bad actors who design attacks specifically to fool them.
Okay, so with all those challenges piling up, how on earth do we actually do it? Well, we need a new kind of grading rubric, a modern set of tools and methods built specifically for these creative AI systems. This new rubric actually looks a lot like the toolkit a teacher already uses. You can give a simple thumbs up or thumbs down with binary evaluation, a quick pass-fail. You can use ranking to put a few different AI answers side by side and just pick the best one. You can give it a number grade, like an 85 out of 100, with numerical evaluation. Or you can bring out the red pen, so to speak, and get really detailed written feedback from human experts with text evaluation.
So what are we actually looking for? What's on this rubric? Well, we can check its vocabulary with metrics for lexical similarity, things with names like rouge. We can measure its linguistic quality to see if the grammar is solid and if it all flows nicely. We absolutely have to check for groundedness. Is it using real facts or is it just making stuff up? And of course, we have to evaluate for safety and fairness to make sure it's not producing anything harmful or biased.
And this really gets to the heart of the matter. We want our AI to be creative, for sure, but just being different and diverse doesn't automatically make it good. It's all about finding that perfect balance. The AI's creative output also has to be relevant, it has to be accurate,
and it has to be coherent.
Now, obviously, you can't have people sitting around grading thousands of these AI responses by hand. That's just impossible. That's where automated tools become absolutely essential. You can think of a platform like Google's Vertex AI as the ultimate teaching assistant, one that's built from the ground up to handle this incredibly complex evaluation process at scale.
Inside a platform like Vertex AI, you've basically got two main ways to grade. First, there's the computation-based method. This is pretty much an automated answer key. It compares the AI's output to a perfect human-written answer using those metrics we talked about, like Rouge. But then there's the model-based method, and this is where things get really, really cool. It literally uses another powerful AI to act as an impartial judge, evaluating quality in the same way a human expert would.
This model-based approach is just perfectly captured by a tool called AutoSxS, which stands for Auto Side by Side. And the concept couldn't be simpler. It's basically an AI debate judge for your models.
And you might think setting this up sounds complicated, but it's actually incredibly straightforward. First, you prepare your data set. You give the AI judge two different AI-generated answers to the same question. Then you set the rules. You tell the judge what it's supposed to be grading for, like how good the summarization is. And then you just run the job. You let the AI debate begin. And what you get back is a nice, clear verdict. AutoSxS spits out a win rate, showing you exactly which model did a better job. In this case, Model B was the clear winner, getting the nod 65% of the time. But here's the best part. The AI judge doesn't just pick a winner. It actually explains why it preferred one over the other, giving you this incredibly valuable, detailed feedback. And we're not just talking about a handful of examples here. To get really solid, reliable results, the recommendation is to use around 400 examples. And that just highlights the true power of this AI judge. It can provide nuanced, human-like feedback at a scale that would be absolutely impossible for people to do manually. So, after all that, what's the final grade for our creative AI? Well, the truth is there isn't one. The future of evaluating creativity, whether it's human or artificial, isn't about some single final test score. It's really about something much more continuous. Because here's the crucial point. Evaluating AI isn't about giving it a final exam. It's a constant, continuous loop of coaching and monitoring and fine-tuning. The real goal isn't just to get a high score. It's to constantly make sure that these incredibly powerful tools are useful, safe, and effective when they're out there in the real world.
And that leaves us with one final, and I think pretty provocative, thought. As AI keeps getting more and more creative, surprising us in ways we can't even predict, are we eventually going to have to redefine what good even means in the first place? Now, that's a question we're all going to be answering together. Thanks for joining us.